Can a child be depressed? No, a child cannot be depressed. Okay, yes, a child can be depressed. It also depends on the way or who you are defining as a child. When you define a child, for example, sociologically, anybody below the age of 18, or perhaps based on the law of the land, it could be in some countries 21, 18, 23. So children between the ages of 0 and 8, it might be difficult for us to pronounce them depressed. However, teenagers can be pronounced depressed between the ages of 10 to 17. We can say that they are depressed. However, many a times what we call depression in itself is not depression, because there are different nuances that is going to lead to depression. As a matter of fact, the most appropriate person who can announce or who can declare you depressed is a mental health practitioner, a medical professional. So having said that, there are around 11 things I have identified that either you have all of them or appreciable number of them before you can say that you are depressed. Number one, fear. When you are always scared of something, and number two is sadness. Extreme sadness where you are never happy, nothing interests you. As a matter of fact, that is now going to lead to anxiety disorder. Remember, we talked about fear and you're not happy. Now, there will now be exacerbated level of fear. Everything you are not confident about yourself, you are always scared, and it's now the extreme form of fear that lead to anxiety disorder. Another one is low mood. Nothing can get you eager to be happy, to be cheerful, no matter the effort they are making. Another one is poor disposition to fun activities that you have actually appreciated, you love to do. Now you want to withdraw, you don't want to do them again. Another one is withdrawal from people. Now, the people who are most fascinating, who are your loved ones, who are your friends, you don't even want to have them around again. You want to be in isolation. The next one is poor appetite. Now, you don't even want to eat again. You don't have appetite for food, and it's going to lead to weight loss. It could also be an indication. As a matter of fact, poor sleep or extreme sleep, when you are unable to close your eyes in the night, when you cannot get some rest, when you are restless, or when you want to sleep from morning to night, it could also be an indication. As a matter of fact, the next one is feeling of guilt. Now, every time you now hold yourself, you are very harsh on yourself, you are blaming yourself for even things you should never blame yourself for. It's also an indication. Then it now leads to substance abuse. Now you are never an alcoholic, you don't take drugs. Now you now depend on drugs for you to live, for you to be happy, for you to sleep, among others. Then you now have suicidal thoughts. When you have all of these or appreciable number of these, then that could be an indication that you are depressed. So as a matter of fact, before we say, hey, I'm depressed, we need to look at the nuances. Personal experiences, hurtful experiences, circumstances around family, among other things, could be an indication or could subject you to element of depression or depression itself. So today I just want to make clarification about the misappropriate use of words, in particular the word depression. So a child could be depressed and a child might not be depressed. You don't expect a 3-year-old child to be depressed or a 4-year-old child to be depressed or a 5-year-old child, but they can actually have anxiety disorder, they can live in fear, they can feel isolated. It does not mean they are depressed, because there has to be some things, for example, suicidal thought, that has to be appreciable, there has to be part of this before we can say that. Once again, I'm just an educator. Many a times, our medical experts are best to give advice on certain things. I hope you have learned one or two things. Thank you, and bye for now.